Welcome again to our frequent podcast called Wear Many Hats, inspired by Ethan Hawkey. Throughout the year, I, David Punter, the Business Development Director for Hawkey Cleaning and Support Services, shall be interviewing prominent facilities management and procurement subject matter experts across a range of industry market sectors. It is these people with their wealth of knowledge and experience that will inspire the next generation of young professionals. Our objective is to share our guests' stories and experiences to help motivate, engage and inspire others into the industry. Through Wear Many Hats podcast, we hope our listeners will gain new perspectives, insights and learn about strategies to develop their careers in the procurement FM business. It gives me great pleasure to introduce
Milind Tailor.
And you are from?
Work for a global multinational called Diebold Nixdorf.
Thank you very much for joining us today. And without sort of further ado, I'd like to sort of launch into my first set of questions just to understand a little bit about your career journey. So tell me, can you tell me about your career journey in terms of how you entered into procurement?
Sure. So from my early days, I've been kind of very passionate about solving complex problems, challenges through use of technology and data. Right?
Okay.
So that kind of first got me into engineering. So I did my diploma in digital electronics, then I did my bachelor's in electronics, and then when I was kind of looking at what I should pursue as my master's, I kind of figured out for myself that if I have to feed my passion, the best place would be to kind of specialize in operations and supply chain, because that's the field which kind of enables any individual to make a difference not just to the organization, but to the people and general society as a whole. So that's how kind of I studied supply chain, studied operations.
Okay, and where did you study?
So I born and brought up in Mumbai.
Okay.
So I've done my entire education in Mumbai, and I've been based out of London for last 3.5 years.
Okay. And so continue your journey. You've decided that you've done your master's and you've done the education side. So what was the first sort of job role that you went in?
Absolutely. So started off as a management trainee for a global paint company called Kansai Nerolac Paints in India, wherein I was responsible for setting up contract manufacturers across India, running those contract manufacturers, deploying SAP APOs, distribution planning, everything which was related to managing the contract manufacturers. After that stint, I had a short stint with L'Oreal in their consumer product division, where I was
also based in India.
All based in Mumbai. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So L'Oreal, the cosmetic.
L'Oreal Cosmetics, yeah, the French organization, where I was heading their demand planning for their consumer product division, and then I was also kind of part of that team that launched luxury product division that in India at that point in time. And then I had a 5-year stint with a 3PL company called Drive India Enterprise Solution, which was then a Tata Group company. And then very recently it got acquired by TVS. So that's where I would say I learned the ins and outs of procurement, the ins and outs of supply chain, the ins and outs of the customer let's say the customer part of it, in terms of how we can manage end to end.
So you didn't just wake up and think, I want to go into procurement, did you?
Absolutely not. So I keep saying this, that I am in procurement and supply chain by design and not by accident, because a lot of, I mean, as you see, if you see traditionally, a lot of people get into procurement by either they don't have a choice, either they were kind of forced into it, or they just kind of end up being into procurement supply chain by accident, right? Somebody's on the shop floor, then he gets into the buyer role and then he grows. But yeah, in my case, it was very, I would say it was by design that I wanted to kind of get into procurement supply chain.
Okay, did someone mentor you, or was it something that you just thought, I'm pretty good at this, so this is what I'm going to do?
So as I said, I think when I was doing my bachelor's and I was kind of looking at various options of the career that I need to pursue, I was clear I wanted to do my master's. I had two options, do master's in engineering, because I had done diploma, and then I did my degree in electronics. So that was one route that I could pursue, and the other route was kind of get into management and specialize into supply, into various things, marketing, HR, finance. But I have at that point, I was kind of, when I analyzed my own strengths, and of course, I analyzed at that point, okay, what's the field that's going to kind of grow? I kind of said that
where the money is, basically, isn't it?
I would say who moves the money. I would say not where the money is, but who moves the money. I guess procurement supply chain is where the money moves in the system, right? So I think that's what kind of that's what the decision was. That okay, this is the field wherein I would use my skills or my passion, and also I would be able to kind of make a career for myself.
Okay, thank you for that. So I just want to try and understand, or certainly for our listeners, what sector you work in at the moment, and how has facilities management and procurement evolved in that sector over the last 3 years?
So I've been working with Diebold Nixdorf for over 10 years now. I joined them as their head of supply chain in India.
And they are specifically doing...
So Diebold Nixdorf is into manufacture, installation, sale and service of ATMs.
automatic
teller machines, self-checkout terminals, and point of sale terminals. So we are global leader in these two segments, which is banking and retail.
Okay. Thank you. So just to get my head around what the company does and stuff. Right. So, and how has, I mean, obviously you are a procurement person that specializes in the services of that organization that you form part of. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I head the global procurement, services procurement.
Okay. And in terms of the global procurement, how many countries does that cover?
So I'm responsible for a spend of approximately 1 billion, managing it across 65 plus country and a team of 70 plus procurement and supply chain professionals.
Okay, because I know your head office is based in Ohio, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And I think your organization has offices in right the way from Algeria to Vietnam.
Absolutely.
And you have how many people reporting into you? How does that structure work?
So my total team size is 70 plus.
In procurement?
In procurement, the global services procurement team. And I have a direct report of 11, which is kind of divided into geography and into category base. So the way we are geographically structured is we have APAC as a region, EMEA as a region, then we have Americas, which is further divided into North America, LATAM, and Brazil. And EMEA.
So Brazil just sits on its own?
Yeah, Brazil does sit on its own.
Okay.
It's a bit unique. Yeah, so each area for me has an area head, and then I'm supported by 3 global category managers.
Okay, and obviously we had a conversation before, and you are specializes in the procurement of not the products that your company produce and sell and stuff, but the actual services within your organization. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, and. Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. Just wanted for our listeners to understand your business and that. But so how has facilities management evolved over the last 3 years? Back to my original question.
So I guess last 3 years have been, I think, challenging for everybody.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of unknowns, a lot of variables. So in terms of the evolution, I would say for us has been on 2 or 3 major aspects. One is the people aspect in terms of how we work as a team, because everything has got virtual. Everything is virtual, right? Not just the team meetings, but supplier negotiations became virtual. Stakeholder meeting became virtuals. So everything moved from being in office, in-person discussions to virtual overnight. So that was one big change. From the supplier side, on the supplier front as well, everything became virtual because earlier we were visiting the suppliers, we were inviting them in the office, having a face-to-face negotiations, multiple rounds of discussions with stakeholders to understand what the requirements are, what needs to be done to be able to get the best price, the best solution for the organization. That all of a sudden or overnight it moved into being virtual. So I think that was a big change that we had to do, or what we had to adopt is to adapt to the virtual way of working. So that's been a very big change for us. I guess we are not exception. I guess for all of us, it has been a big change. And then with that comes in the the adapting to working from home, right? I mean, not everybody was used to it, or not everybody has the requisite infrastructure to be able to work from home. So that kind of put additional responsibility on the organization as well to kind of take care of people, who had some challenges or who couldn't do everything work from home. Okay. So yeah, it was been a bit challenging to adopt to this new norm, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And what else?
I would say use of technology. Within procurement has increased over last 3 years. So technology adoption has increased drastically. The focus is on adding value. The focus is on how we can drive more value to the business, not just savings. So for me, value is not just savings. It's a whole lot of factors from a value perspective, and the expectation is that procurement should not do mundane tasks. Procurement should not be doing just cutting the POs, or procurement should not be just following up with the suppliers for deliveries or for the invoices or invoice payments. So all of these tasks are kind of, to me, are becoming more and more mundane and to be done and to be automized. So the trend is towards becoming a hyper automated procurement processes.
Okay, so we're looking at, as I say, what's changed over the 3 years and stuff. I think you mentioned that there were 3 points. One, you said about people. 2, you said about technology. And what else?
Supplier negotiations, supplier relationship management changed completely over the last 3 years.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who is interested in starting a career in procurement?
I would say, if you're looking to enter this field, rest assured it's an absolutely exciting field. Okay. You're stepping in a great profession. And why I say this is, one, it's very exciting. No day is a routine day. Every day it brings its own new set of challenges, new set of solutions, new set of stakeholders, new set of regulatory issues. So there is whole plethora of things that you will learn and face every day. So very exciting. Second, I would say, contrary to the general perception, procurement is becoming very strategic. Though it's not as sexy as what people would look at marketing or finance. Last 3 years, this has changed. The perception has changed. So procurement is very, very strategic in nature. So if you look at a company's spend, 60-70% of spend is on the external spend, which means we have a opportunity to impact the bottom line straight away. So that's there. The other piece I would say is... So
is procurement becoming the new sexy then?
I would love it to happen that way, because it's for too long. I think procurement has been playing a back office role, and I certainly believe procurement is not a back office role. Okay, it's something which is very, very strategic, something which can help the organization survive. And believe me, in this pandemic, the organizations which didn't have a good procurement organization, they have just collapsed. So
that's a very interesting point, because obviously the big challenge since the pandemic has been supply chain issues.
Absolutely.
And clearly there's been a need to bolster the procurement side of particularly large organizations like yourself that probably already had it in place. But it'd be interesting to know, have you increased your procurement headcount since the pandemic in your organization, or has it stayed pretty much the same because the systems are already there?
I would say from a headcount perspective, we've remained as it is, but the focus has moved towards being a more resilient supply chain, a more sustainable supply chain.
Okay.
Right. So,
how do you think have online meetings changed the facilities management, procurement engagement and collaboration process? I know you mentioned about, since the pandemic, virtual meetings and stakeholder meetings and supplier meetings. Do you feel that that's made the suppliers and these people a bit too at arm's length? Has it been very harder to engage with those people?
I would say virtual meetings have not been new for procurement, especially for those who've been managing multi-site, multinational,
like
multi-country organizations. Wherein in the past as well, if I was sitting in Mumbai or sitting in London, I used to negotiate with with a supplier in China, because so it's not new. I think the whole issue, what I see is with virtual negotiations, is you don't get that in-person warmth and that feeling of talking to a person, and when you are doing a big negotiation, I being a bit old-fashioned, I would still prefer to have that meeting in person, wherein I can see the person, I can see his his gestures, his body language, his interest. I mean, those are the finer nuances which you kind of genuinely miss in the virtual meetings. But I believe these virtual meetings and virtual way of meetings is going to stay for a longer time.
Yes.
I think there's no replacement to this.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. Obviously, it's nice to see the whites of people's eyes and see the gestures and things. I mean, how have you overcome that then? If you're doing a negotiation, sometimes you do need to see gestures, and humour sometimes has to come in and things like that. So, but how have you personally overcome that?
So, I would say what I did, and then what we did for the team as well, is we kind of conducted certain trainings, knowledge sharing sessions with the team in terms of how we should go in a virtual negotiation, right? What are the finer nuances, that you need to adopt when you are in a virtual environment. So I generally prefer, before getting onto a call, then I would have a one-to-one with the guy who's on the other side of the table, my equivalent or higher up, in terms of at least to build a rapport before that meeting. It shouldn't be like, okay, hi, hello, how are you? I am so and so. I mean, it shouldn't start with that, because then you don't have that rapport getting into a discussion. So my way is, before I'm getting into a negotiation, beforehand I would kind of have just an introductory call, share some notes, share some ideas in terms of what it is, what we are looking at, what is their perception, which then helps me to kind of prepare better for the discussion. And believe me, it works in most of the things, because then there is no ice breaking required in that meeting, right? When you come in, you know each other, you know what we've discussed, so it becomes a little more friendlier. It becomes much more easier to go through the discussions. Yes, it still has its own challenges, which will continue to stay, but at least better preparation helps in virtual negotiations.
Yes, it does. I mean, obviously, we've been making telephone calls for a very long time, but virtual ones and seeing people's face, we haven't been doing for a very long time. And if one makes a telephone call, you're always sometimes having that ice-breaking conversation beforehand, before you get down to the crunch deals and things. That brings me nicely, actually, on to, what role do you see artificial intelligence playing in procurement now and in the future?
So, as I said, I think for me, the convergence of procurement with AI is kind of changing procurement and the world by itself. AI to me is the capstone of technological development, and with this, procurement is going to, or has taken, a leap in the way it functions. Three factors, I would say, three major benefits which I see coming in with AI. One, extreme efficiency. With AI, you can look at eliminating a lot of human error, lack of data, and automating a lot of mundane manual things which requires people today. So AI would take on a lot of mundane regular stuff. So that's one. Second, I would say very important would be in optimizing our supplier relationship and category management plans. Today, you can imagine for a company like ours, we have over 2,000 suppliers, 45 to 50 categories. It's humanly impossible to keep the track of each and every element or the variables in that category, or what happens in the supplier relationship on the supplier relationship front. So with AI, I think a lot of these information, these related to categories, related to geopolitical movements, related to commodity pricing, all of these factors which affect a category would be available at a click of a button. And then the role of a category manager would truly be to intercept that data, to analyze and synthesize that data in the context of your business. So that's what the role I would say, AI would help in optimizing the supplier relationship and category management. Lastly, I would say it's going to be really helpful in identifying financial benefits for the organization. So I would say in terms of opportunities to grow revenue, opportunities to drive the bottom line benefit. So AI, with its inherent capability of capturing a lot of data from multiple sources, multiple inputs, will be able to give us identify those opportunities which we generally would miss out. So I think AI is something which would really take procurement to the next level and drive next level of efficiency and benefits for the organization.
Okay. No, I think all three of them are very, very valid and insightful points to make on how you see AI as a procurement tool. Not to say it will do away with the human element, but it will certainly speed up and make areas of greater efficiency with data.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think does the future of the facilities landscape look like?
I would say today, if you look at it, any organization, there are unprecedented changes happening, right, in the business environment, which are questioning the future viability, right? If you look at it in terms of inflationary pressures, if we look at it in terms of expanding regulatory requirements, if we look at pricing fluctuations, to add to that, we have geopolitical tensions, which are kind of shifting the entire, the supply chains, right? Today we are talking about onshoring, nearshoring. So all of these factors are kind of are continuous disruptions. If you look at it for last 4 or 5 years, these have been continuous disruptions, and I believe this is an opportunity for procurement to be a disruptor in terms of how they conduct business, how they drive value proposition for the organization. So for me, the future of the procurement will be focused on maximizing external relationships or third-party relationships, drive innovation, close integration and collaboration with help of data. I think that's what the future would look like for procurement.
Okay.
So I would say the role that procurement would play would be more of a brand ambassador or a brand custodian. One, a role of a chief collaborator or a chief orchestrator, because you are kind of managing multiple networks or a network of networks, because nobody today wants to do vertical integration, right? Everybody wants to kind of build on somebody else's strength so it's a network that you are managing. And as I said, maybe from a brand ambassador perspective, today, if you look at the regulatory requirements, there are so many regulatory requirements on the external spend side, right? In terms of from where we are buying, if there are any labor, child labor, if there is the laws which are coming in Germany today. If you look at the supply chain laws, all these can impact your business, and this can impact your business significantly. So I see in future procurement to be the one to be developing this sustainability and resilience, and being the brand custodian as well for the organization.
Okay. And what 5 key skills do you believe are essential for anyone working in procurement? Just 5.
Just 5? Okay. So I would say high level, I'd like to start with two broad things. For somebody who is just entering or who wants to enter into procurement, I would say the foundational skills would be negotiation skills. They're indispensable for sure, goes without saying. Second is relationship management, because this is the most important aspect of procurement. even at a very early stage, you are managing your stakeholders, you are managing your suppliers, you are managing, regulatories, you are managing so many people. So that's managing relationship is the basic. And the third one is financial acumen, right? At the end of the day, each and every organization thrives on financial standing. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you need to be an accountant to know the P&L and balance sheet in and out, but you need to have that financial acumen. You need to have that that sense of how the numbers will be. Numbers will play around. So these three I would say are the key skills for someone who is at an initial stage or kind of wanting to make a career in procurement.
Okay.
And someone who's kind of at an advanced level, or somebody who is who wants to grow. I would say there are two critical elements which I would like which needs to be there. One, risk management. As I said, the risks that are increasing, in today's environment, mm-hmm. and these are coming in from number of sides. So today's procurement team or a procurement leader has to have a very, very good ability to anticipate those risks. You can never make this, reduce this risk. You cannot eliminate this risk, but you can only reduce this risk. So you need to have a very, very, good sense of anticipating this risks coming in and take preventive and corrective actions in advance, mm-hmm. so that the impact is softened out. So that's a very important skill, I would say, which someone should getting at a higher level in procurement needs to have. And second, data analytics. Basic analytics everybody can do, but now today we look at social media. Today we look at so much of information which is data that is coming in. AI can do a lot of data crunching for you, but at the end of the day, somebody has to analyze, synthesize, and take business decisions. So that's the key skill which someone in procurement needs to have in order to be successful. So these, I would say, would be the two key additional skills that someone at a higher level in procurement must have.
Thank you. How do you? I'm moving a few questions because I think some of the ones you've answered there. But how do you stay informed about new developments and trends in procurement?
So, I would say there is no one size fits all kind of thing here. Because procurement today is so much vast and kind of being impacted on number of factors. For me, it is not just about keeping myself informed about procurement or supply chain aspects, but also about knowing what's happening on the HR side, knowing what's happening on the on the geopolitical side, what's happening on the technology side, what is happening on the overall business, on the overall economy, right? So you need to be aware and updated about all of these factors. Again, you can't be an expert. Mm-hmm. The best way I find is to subscribe to various blogs, to have subscription to articles. Wall Street Journal is one of them for sure, which kind of gives you an overall business perspective. Okay. And the suppliers. I think they are the most important source of information, and they are the most important place where you can keep yourself updated about, because they are the subject matter experts in their field, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the way I keep myself informed. Reading, subscribing to various articles, journals, and meeting up a lot of suppliers, talking to them, understanding what's happening in their industry, and then have that ability to connect the dots and see how this would impact my business.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges in procurement over the next 5 years?
So I would say, in terms of opportunities, procurement is poised to play a much bigger strategic role in the getting into the future. What pandemic has done is it has brought to the fore the strategic importance of procurement. So it's upon the procurement professionals now to build onto that. Okay. Continuously keep adding value and building on that. So to me, going forward in future, we would play a much more strategic role. Second, technology is going to play a vital role. We are not going to get additional headcounts for sure. The company is expecting us to do more with less, and that's where we need to kind of have use technology, optimize processes, automate processes, and focus on doing value-add stuff. Focus on doing the intelligent part of it, and leave the rest to the artificial intelligence and the of the world.
So what do you mean by value added then? What, you're saying focusing on that. What is that?
Yeah, so I would say an example. AI can give you inputs on category plans, as I explained earlier, right? So, but then the value add is how do you synthesize that data? How do you connect it with your own business and come up with your strategies of how you want to run your category, right? So that's the intelligent part of it. Today, if you see the time a category manager spends on presenting or collecting that information itself is possibly 50, 60, 70% of his time.
Too much time is spent collecting, getting it all together and stuff, and less time spent on analyzing.
And strategizing. So I would say in the future, a lot of these roles will become redundant. So it's very important for the procurement team as well, or the procurement professionals as well, to keep upskilling themselves. Some of these roles I can surely say that will become redundant over a period of next few years. And I'm not talking about 10 years from now, 3 years, 2 years from now. A lot of these roles which are there today, a buyer role, a very simple buyer role, who is they're just going to become redundant. But that's where lies the opportunity, right? For people to upskill, people to grow, and procurement function to kind of get technology and start focusing on adding value.
Okay. And what challenges are you faced with in terms of recruitment, retention, and recognition of your workforce?
Last 1 year has been an absolute roller coaster, right? I mean, if I have to say on the talent side of it, right? It's a situation where we have a war for talent, and layoffs, and great resignation, and labor shortages, right? I haven't seen in my 20 years of career a situation which has so many of the things built into that period, of time. Wow. So it's really, really very challenging. I would say for us, or for me, the focus has been on how do we take care of our existing employees. So if you spoke about recognition, you spoke about retention, and you spoke about recruitment. For me, the sequence is recognition, retention, and then recruitment, right? So recognize your employees, take care of them so that you can retain them. The more you retain, the less you have to recruit. So to me, it's the root causes, or the root is how do we ensure that we take care of our employees? How do we recognize them? How do we make them feel connected to our culture? And how do we make them feel that they belong to the organization? Right? For me personally, these have been the two big factors. Over last 3-4 years, especially during this pandemic, is people, you could see initially, then people could get disconnected because, somebody sitting in Belgium, earlier that person used to go to office, and all of a sudden now the person is sitting at home, and, he feels disconnected to the organization. He feels disconnected to the team. So I think for us, the focus has been how do we get our teams to feel connected to the culture. They kind of continuously recognizing their efforts and appreciating what they are doing. So,
and how have you done that?
So for us, it has been various initiatives, initiatives which have been taken at a corporate level, and then there have been some initiatives which have been taken at, let's say, from a procurement perspective. So we do very, very simple things, and again, it doesn't need money. So what we do is we do something called as fun meetings. We have something called as Friday coffees, wherein we just have a chat anything about anything other than work. We don't talk about work, but anything other than work. We have some monthly knowledge sharing sessions wherein somebody who's done really good some small project, maybe 50,000, maybe 100,000, but yeah, he's done something good. We come in, we kind of invite that person to come in and present in front of the full team, so that is a recognition of his, of the hard work or the accomplishment that the person has done. So smaller things, but they kind of go a long way in increasing the morale of the employees and improving the retention levels.
Okay. Now, just moving on to a few of the last ones of my questions here. What are some of the greatest achievements in your career in procurement that you can speak of?
Oh, in terms of achievements, I can talk about a number of projects where we've driven value in terms of savings, in terms of business transformation. But one specific one which I would like to kind of call out, which is which was kind of very fulfilling and satisfying for me, was the project that I led during pandemic to source the PPEs, the personal, the protection equipment. As I'm sure you remember that during the pandemic, the masks and sanitizers and everything was kind of just not available in the market. And I was leading this project wherein I was sourcing the PPE for the company across the globe to be distributed across the globe. And I was able to source millions and millions of PPE from across the globe, and we were able to supply it to our field force. As you can imagine, for a company which has a 20,000 field force, and when we had to comply to our to the local laws, which means everybody had to have a mask, and if we didn't have the mask, we couldn't go and serve our customers.
So how many suppliers did you source those PPE equipment from then?
Oh, we kind of
approximate.
So we did it. I don't know. I've lost count of it, but we did it from at least 6 to 7 different countries, to be, because every time we did something from some country, there would be some restrictions that would come in, then we had to go and explore some new country. Then China had its own regulations that came in. India brought in some regulations. And, I can tell you a situation where we had one batch of consignment which was supposed to leave that day, and that day evening government of India released a notification which said you cannot dispatch the this type of mask cannot be sent out.
So conversely, do you have any regrets in your career in facilities management, or rather procurement? Any
Absolutely nothing. I'm very happy with what that I selected this field for myself.
But any sort of bad decisions or something like that you think maybe I could have done that differently or something like that? Those sort of regrets. I mean, I'm not suggesting you're perfect, but I'm just saying, was there any regrets?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, of course, I would say there will be a number of decisions which if I look at, and I kind of introspect that would have gone wrong. But I would say, I think one of the things which I believe we could have done is use of technology. We've kind of played a wait and watch role.
Okay. So you haven't been a trailblazer.
Yeah, on the technology side, we've been kind of being very slow in adapting the technology. We have been very slow in kind of moving forward on any of the technological decisions, unfortunately. So, and that's kind of taking us a little bit. We are not the best in class as from a procurement standpoint as a result.
But to be fair to you, that's not necessarily your personal regret. It's something that you would like to. It's a regret, business-wise, that you can enact change now.
Yeah, so I mean, I could have pushed it faster. Okay. I think then the outcome could have been a bit different.
I was pushing you on that one. I think that because I think our listeners would be rather surprised if you were to say you had no regrets at all. So finally, what things in life, could be work or leisure, gives you the greatest satisfaction and enjoyment?
So from a leisure perspective, I would say I like to read. So that's something which you would, if I'm not doing anything, I'm reading, and if I'm not reading, then I'm kind of training with my son. My son is 15 years old. He plays cricket. I play cricket as well for my club. So I kind of like to train with him, coach him, and kind of on a weekend, normally I would spend time with him coaching. And then the last piece would be taking studies of my kids. That's the best time that I kind of is relaxing, because I get to spend time with them. Otherwise, they are kind of in the school or busy with their own stuff. But that's the time which I kind of get to know them better, get to know them what's happening in their life as well. So these are the three things which I kind of...
And do your children have any aspirations to go into a career of procurement, or do you have different views, or they have different views on where they want to go?
My son is very clear. He wants to be an automobile engineer. So he's very clear. He would do an automobile engineering. My daughter is, she wants to start her own business at some point in time. Again, she is still 15, 16, so too early. But yeah, at least they have some kind of direction in what they want to, or the goal, what they want to pursue. Doesn't look like they want to get into procurement or supply chain for sure.
Oh, well, maybe listening to this audio podcast will inspire them. Well, thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our episode of Wear Many Hats. We hope our listeners will find this an interesting listen, as I have certainly found it. And we'd like to thank you for also taking the chair today. It's been both thought-provoking and engaging. And we obviously welcome the support and feedback from our listeners once this goes out live. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure.